Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To The Point. You have 4 more days, just 4 more days, to mail in your ballot or head to the polls if you plan on voting this midterm election. Now, this election is coming up next Tuesday, and despite it being the midterms, there's still a lot going on. So locally, of course, things like homelessness, abortion rights, and gambling are all on the ballot. And across the country, the balance of power in Congress could all change. So tonight, we're asking people why they still are voting in person despite millions of mail-in ballots being sent out. But first, we want to take a look at what's actually at stake. What are the midterms? Midterm elections take place halfway through a president's 4-year term. The election is considered a referendum on how Americans are feeling about the first half of a president's term. And it's a chance for the minority party to flip the balance of power in Washington. While voters aren't electing a new president, there are federal, state, and local seats contested. So all 435 House seats are up for election as representatives serve 2-year terms. Senators, on the other hand, serve 6-year terms, and their election years are staggered. So approximately 1/3 of the Senate is up for election every 2 years. And this year, 35 of the 100 seats in the Senate will be elected. 36 states will elect a governor just this year. But what's at stake? Even though President Joe Biden isn't on the ballot, the midterm elections will play a big role in what the president can accomplish in the final 2 years of his current term. One of the biggest questions is whether Democrats will hold their narrow majority in Congress. Analysts predict that Republicans have a chance to take back both the House and the Senate. Historically, the party in power tends to lose seats during midterm elections. Since 1934, the president's party has an average of 28 House seats and 4 Senate seats during midterm elections. This year, Republicans only need to pick up 1 seat in the Senate to take back a majority. So all eyes are on the Nevada Senate race. Our neighbors to the east might have the nation's closest and biggest Senate race and could decide control of the Senate for the next 2 years. The other 2 races in a dead heat are in Pennsylvania and Georgia. And we're also keeping a close eye on 2 House races right here in our area. The race for the new District 3 puts Republican State Assembly member Kevin Kiley against Democrat Dr. Kermit Jones. Now, the new district includes parts of Plumas, Sierra, Yuba, Nevada, Placer, El Dorado, and Alpine counties. And then over in the Lodi-Stockton area, Democrat Josh Harder is running against San Joaquin County Supervisor Tom Patty in the race for District 9. We've featured these candidates right here on our show. So again, you have 4 days left to vote. And tonight, Becca Habegger was out in the community asking why head to a voting center when you could just drop your ballot in the mail.
Catherine Guerrero of Carmichael is here at the vote center located in the Citrus Heights Community Center to drop off the ballot that had been mailed to her after completing it at home.
It makes me feel like I actually voted.
She was part of a steady stream of voters Friday afternoon, opting to drop off their mailed ballot here instead of into a U.S. Postal Service box.
I want to make sure that they get to the place they're supposed to be.
You know, I really wanted to make sure that I handed it to someone. You hear all kinds of stories of things going on with mail-in ballots.
It struck me as very secure.
In-person opportunities to vote are really important for everyone, but particularly for historically underrepresented groups.
Mindy Romero is director of the Center for Inclusive Democracy at USC's Price School of Public Policy. She says in California, studies show mail-in ballots are widely used by people across all demographics.
I want to make that clear that vote by mail is still used predominantly by everyone, but if you're looking at likelihoods, voters of color, young voters, low-income voters are more likely to need or choose an in-person voting location.
For some, she says it's a matter of services available at voting sites. For others, she says history is a driving factor.
Some of it is just wanting to be seen, wanting to represent the community, especially we've found in our research among Black voters.
Donna Thomas of Citrus Heights shared these thoughts on voting and whether she thinks her vote counts.
I feel like I have a right to vote. As an African-American woman in this country, I was born and raised here. I know that my people have died for the right to vote, so I do have a right. Do I think it makes a difference? That's a hard question. Sometimes and sometimes not. You know, are the people where these votes are going, is everybody honest? I don't believe so. But it is my right. And so, yeah, I'm going to vote.
Thanks to a law passed last year, every registered voter in the state of California now receives a ballot in the mail for statewide elections in June and November. But even with that, experts and voters alike say keeping the physical vote locations is important.
You have to have access different ways, right? Whether it's mail-in, walk-in access, the day of voting access, there's nothing wrong with having different ways to get your ballot in.
Our research has shown that some of the main reasons are people don't trust the mail system. Even a drop box, they don't know if it's actually going to get there, even though it's not going through the mail system. It's a drop box that's, run by the registrar's office. They want to see it physically, go into a staff location where they know that it's safe and secure.
And Becca Habecker's with us now. And Becca, a physical voting location is about much more than just convenience, I would say.
For sure. Yeah, that voting expert, Mindy Romero, says that their research shows if there's any kind of impact to getting access to one of those, voting sites, whether that's a full parking lot or it's not fully accessible for people with disabilities, or even it's just unwelcoming to people of certain demographics. She says that disproportionately impacts people of color and young people who are trying to vote. So these voting sites are so important to giving everyone access, whether someone wants to vote in person or mail in their ballot via USPS. There's a whole slate of options here in California.
Yeah, absolutely. And mail-in ballots, they usually boost voter turnout. But these physical locations are so important to also making sure that everyone's voice is heard and everybody gets a voice to a chance to vote, excuse me.
Yeah, for sure. And you and I were just talking earlier about how, a lot of people feel that even with voting, even if the system works well, their vote might not even be counted or might not, get the results that they want. So there's a lot of feelings of mistrust kind of up and down the system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're battling that and then a lot of misinformation and people just getting the right information. So that's something that we've really been trying to do here is make sure that everyone has accurate access to voting information so they can drop their ballot off wherever they'd like.
Absolutely.
All right, Becca, thank you. So if you do have any questions about the election, like I just mentioned, we have you completely covered. All you have to do is text us to 916-321-3310, and we can help you get what you need to know if you do have any questions. All right, meanwhile, with all the democracy spirit in the air, I want to know, what does being patriotic mean to you, and how does the American flag make you feel? And do you think that patriotism has changed over the years or not? So let me know your thoughts. Again, you can text us at 916-321-3310, or you can just send us an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. I'd love to know what you think. All right, when we come back, a new part of Sacramento's critical infrastructure rule is being enforced. But as an encampment near a school is cleared out, what's happening in the background for long-term solutions? A homeless encampment near Garden Valley Elementary School in Sacramento is getting cleared out. And this is the first time the city is enforcing a new part of the critical infrastructure rule to keep encampments 500 feet away from schools. Community members we spoke with say that for a month, they've been sending photos of things like piles of trash, needles, and bullets near the encampment to City Council and 311 services. An official with the city of Sacramento says documentation is a vital element for action because there's a lot on their radar. He says that they've assessed 67 schools throughout the city that will need their attention.
311 system, those calls were on our radar prior to meeting the community members out there, but many of the calls were being generated by the same community members that we've now made contact with. But definitely encourage folks around the city to use that tool. It's a great way to ensure a response from our department.
The city says so far 2 individuals accepted resources and shelter, and then a handful of others are choosing to relocate. And this is happening at the same time that Governor Gavin Newsom is withholding $1 billion worth of funding for city-run programs aimed at solving homelessness. He says that he doesn't want to dish out money that's going to have a little result. But Republican Senator Brian Daly, who's running against Governor Newsom in Tuesday's election, says it's the governor's actions that have led to these failures.
Well, we put together a package of bills and, our ideas never get out, see the light of day. And if we have a great idea, they take it and kill our bill and give it to somebody on the Democrat side to run. Look, I was a county supervisor for 16 years. It happens all the time, unfunded mandates. And then when there's no progress, they blame the county.
The governor didn't list any specifics of what improvements he'd like to see from local programs, but he is calling for a meeting with local governments later this month. All right, after the break, tomorrow's night's Powerball drawing will be historic, but the jackpot may not be the only record setter. Tomorrow's Powerball drawing is set to be the world's biggest lottery jackpot in history. $1.6 billion is up for grabs. And the last time we saw numbers this high was back in 2016 when 3 winners split a $1.58 billion jackpot. And there's still room for more records to be set. So if no one wins tomorrow's drawing, it will tie for the most consecutive drawings without a grand prize winner. So maybe the 40th time is a charm. I don't know. But it does beg the question, why has no one won yet? So a big reason is that people are not buying as many tickets as they would for a drawing than they would 5 or 6 years ago. So even though the jackpot, it jumped $300 million after Wednesday's drawing, the likelihood of a winner just drops because not as many number combinations are covered. So the drawing runs on Eastern time. So if you definitely are feeling triumphant in the 1 to 292 million odds, make sure that you get your ticket by 7 p.m. tomorrow. I know John, our AP over here, he said that he's going to be getting his ticket for sure. All right. So it's a Friday, and we all know that the hardest working man in the industry, John Bartel, is taking us on another adventure on the back road. So this week, we're heading to the world's oldest forest.
The oldest living trees in the world don't grow in a rainforest or along a misty coast. They also don't tower over the landscape or branch out in a dense jungle. The oldest living trees actually grow on top of an almost barren mountain in some of the harshest conditions California has to offer. This is a pretty horrible soil up here.
This is that awful dolomite, alkaline, limestone, and it is not good for growing most things.
Within the Inyo National Forest's White Mountain Range sits a small forest of almost dead, gnarled-looking trees called bristlecone pine.
How old can these trees get?
Well, the oldest known living confirmed tree is the Methuselah at 4,855 years.
Mary Matlick is an interpreter with the ancient bristlecone pine forest, and the Methuselah tree she's talking about, the world's oldest recorded tree, is hidden to protect it from vandals. However, many of the trees in this forest are just as old and date back before the construction of the Egyptian pyramids.
You gotta have a microscope to kind of really count these rings.
That is their survival, is that slow growth.
That very slow growth is due to the harsh climate and poor soil. Very few plants or animals can live up here, and that's the way the bristlecone pine like it.
It mainly keeps out the competition because they have to grow slowly, they need their time, they need their space.
Professor Edmund Schulman was the first to count the rings on the bristlecone pine and discovered the world's oldest tree in 1957.
It's a non-clonal tree, so it grows from a seed.
To be clear, there are older tree species in the world, like the 9,500-year-old spruce tree in Sweden, but that tree is a clone, meaning the original tree fell over and grew a genetic duplicate from the roots. Bristlecone pines can't regrow from the genes in their roots.
They don't really die of old age. They die because something happens to them. And for most of them, that's root exposure.
So actually, this is a real tree.
The seemingly immortal life of the bristlecone pine attracts people from all over the world.
Bristlecone pines grow only in 6 states in the United States and nowhere else in the world.
Arvydas Buinauskas is an art collector and traveler from Lithuania, and for the past 20 years, he's been admiring and trying to capture the beauty of the bristlecone pines.
I love it, and it's difficult to describe it, but I feel like in heaven, it's like my passion.
Even if the bristlecone pines were to be killed by an outside force, its twisted, wind-beaten wood wouldn't decay or fall apart for hundreds of years. The harsh, dry climate of the White Mountains preserved the tree's wood for visitors to see for hundreds of years.
You become like a part, expand and become a part of universe, much bigger than you are actually.
From the ancient bristlecone pine forest, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the backroads.
John has covered a lot of ground on his quest to explore all of California's back roads. So you can check them all out at abc10.com/backroads or just text backroads to 916-321-3310. Of course, we'll send a map straight to your phone. All right, let's check in with Carly because we have a lot of weather changes rolling in this weekend. Oh, Carly,
yes,
that doesn't sound good.
It's so much to get to, Alex. I mean, we're talking storm system after the next one, and that includes a lot of travel delays, closures, possibility for whiteout conditions. We are going to start to see this moving in with clouds pulling in overnight and into your Saturday. That means we could see a quick scattered shower here and there in the valley, but most of that will be in the Sierra and the coastal range tomorrow. Sunday night is the big event and continues on through Wednesday morning. As we take a closer look here, you are seeing a winter storm warning in effect. And again, Sunday night to Wednesday morning, again, we could see whiteout conditions due to the fact that we are looking at about 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts expected. That's going to create some dangerous travel for a lot of those areas off 80 as well as 50 and even some of the side roads. We could see that also off 4. Now, we are seeing some of the elevation levels around 2,500 feet and higher, and that is just to at least experience a little bit of snow. It's really about 4,000 feet and higher. We start accumulating as much as a foot, and then some of the peaks could get as much as 4 feet of snow by the end of the entire thing Wednesday morning. So do prepare this weekend. We could see some scattered showers on and off, but the majority of the event is Sunday night through Wednesday morning. And you are looking at a lot of those spots there above 4,000 feet accumulating a few feet of snow by Wednesday. So again, the wind gusts are really going to start picking up by Sunday as we see them for the mountains. And then the valley, 15 to 20 mile per hour winds. The gusts could get as high as 30 miles per hour in the valley. Coastal range spots also experiencing some strong winds. Now, we will start to see that moving in from the north and then pushing in. And again, there's the brunt of the storm system Monday morning into Tuesday, and then we'll see most of that starting to move its way toward the southeast, clearing us out for the most part into Wednesday morning. We could still see a few scattered snow showers there for the high Sierra spots. The next system may arrive the following weekend, but again, the models right now are showing most of that's remaining further north, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how that plays out. In terms of rain, you are looking at as much as 1 to maybe 2 inches of rain from the valley up toward the foothill spots. And as we look at our 10-day forecast, we are looking at those temperatures into those mid to low 50s as we start moving toward Tuesday. Alex.
Yep, and now's the perfect time to download the free, did I mention it's free, ABC 10 app for the latest updates on weather and traffic any time of the day. We have everything you need to know. We'll be right back after the break. Miserable. Horrible, torture. These are just some of the words used to describe airplane seats from people all around the country. So back on our first show in August, we told you about a call out from the FAA asking for public commentary on the safety of airplane seat sizes. Now, they wanted people to read through these studies and give scientific insight about things like anthropometric chair measurements. And well, the results are in. More than 26,000 people shared their thoughts. Most of them not so scientific, but thousands of comments mentioned the words uncomfortable, cramped, and a whole lot of other people threw in the words like terrible, horrible, awful, and even torture. So the first person to submit their thoughts said that they were worried that they wouldn't be able to get out in the event of an emergency. And the movement, it might be gaining some traction. The FAA does not regulate seat sizes, but earlier this week, 6 senators urged the agency to bar airlines from shrinking seats any smaller. So to end this week, I just want to make sure that we raise a toast to those who spoke their mind. All right, it's been a busy week and a lot of developments in the fight against the housing crisis, election coverage, and then also preparing for a possible triple-demic. So if you missed any of it, make sure that you download the ABC 10 Plus app. You can also watch us on Roku and Amazon Fire or head to our ABC 10 YouTube page. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.